The story of Hanukkah begins in the 2nd century BCE. The land of Judea was under the control of the Seleucid Empire. This vast empire, ruled from Antioch, stretched across much of the Middle East. It was a time of Hellenistic influence. Greek culture permeated art, language, and even religious practices. The Jewish people found themselves caught between preserving their heritage and adapting to the dominant culture. For many Jews, maintaining their religious identity was paramount. They clung to the laws and traditions passed down through generations. However, the Seleucid rulers, particularly Antiochus IV Epiphanes, sought to impose Hellenistic culture more forcefully. Antiochus's policies sparked resistance among the Jewish people. This resistance would ultimately ignite the flames of rebellion. Antiochus IV. Epiphanes, eager to consolidate his power and unify his empire, issued a series of decrees aimed at suppressing Jewish practices. He outlawed circumcision, Sabbath observance, and the study of Torah. The Jewish people were commanded to worship Greek gods. The most egregious act of Antiochus was the desecration of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, the spiritual heart of Judaism. In 167 BCE, Antiochus's forces stormed the temple. They erected an altar to Zeus within its sacred precincts. They sacrificed pigs on the altar, a deeply offensive act to Jewish sensibilities. This act of sacrilege sent shockwaves through the Jewish community. It marked a turning point. Passive resistance was no longer an option. The time for open revolt had arrived. In the village of Modi'in, a priest named Mattathias became a beacon of defiance. When a Seleucid official ordered him to perform a pagan sacrifice, Mattathias refused. He struck down the official and tore down the pagan altar. This act of defiance ignited the Maccabean revolt, named after Mattathias' son Judah Maccabee. Judah Maccabee, a brilliant strategist and fearless warrior, rallied the Jewish people to fight for their freedom and faith. The Maccabees were vastly outnumbered and outmatched by the Seleucid army. However, their unwavering faith and guerrilla tactics proved formidable. They won a series of improbable victories, inspiring hope and courage in the hearts of their people. After years of struggle, the Maccabees achieved a momentous victory. They liberated Jerusalem and recaptured the temple in 164 BCE. The desecrated temple, a symbol of oppression, was to be cleansed and rededicated. This was no easy task. The task of purification was both physical and spiritual. The Maccabees worked tirelessly to remove the defilements. They tore down the pagan altar, cleansed the temple courts, and fashioned new sacred vessels. After 3 years of Seleucid rule, the temple was restored to its former glory. The stage was set for a joyous celebration, a festival of dedication that would forever be etched in Jewish memory, Hanukkah. Section 5, a festival of dedication, Hanukkah is born. To mark the rededication of the temple, the Jewish people instituted the festival of Hanukkah. This 8-day celebration would commemorate the Maccabees' victory and the miracle of the temple's restoration. Central to the observance of Hanukkah was the lighting of the menorah, a 9-branched candelabrum. Each night an additional candle would be lit, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness, purity over defilement. The festival was a time for joyous gatherings, special prayers, and the consumption of fried foods like latkes and sufganiyot, cooked in oil to recall the miracle associated with the holiday. Section 7, Hanukkah through the ages, a legacy of resilience. Hanukkah, the festival of lights, has resonated with the Jewish people for centuries. It serves as a potent reminder of their ancestors' struggle for religious freedom and their unwavering commitment to their faith. Throughout history, during times of persecution and hardship, the story of Hanukkah has served as a source of inspiration and hope. It teaches that even a small group, fueled by faith and determination, can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The enduring message of Hanukkah transcends religious boundaries. It speaks to the universal human spirit, the ability to resist oppression, fight for what is right, and emerge from darkness into the light of freedom and hope. Section 8. Jesus and Hanukkah, a connection in John's Gospel. The story of Hanukkah finds an intriguing connection in the New Testament. The Gospel of John recounts Jesus attending the Feast of Dedication in Jerusalem. This feast is widely understood to be Hanukkah. While the Gospel does not describe Jesus celebrating the festival in a liturgical sense, his presence there is significant. It suggests a connection between Jesus' ministry and the themes of Hanukkah: light overcoming darkness, truth triumphing over falsehood. Some scholars believe that Jesus may have intentionally chosen this moment to make pronouncements about his own identity and mission, drawing parallels between the Maccabees' fight for religious freedom and his own mission to bring spiritual liberation. Section 9. The Enduring Flame, a Timeless Message of Hope. The story of Hanukkah, with its themes of courage, resilience, and the triumph of light over darkness, continues to resonate deeply in the 21st century. The flickering flames of the Hanukkah menorah serve as a timeless reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can endure, faith can ignite change, and freedom is a fight worth waging. As we light the candles each night, we are invited to reflect on the sacrifices of those who came before us and to rededicate ourselves to the pursuit of justice, freedom, and the betterment of our world. Hanukkah reminds us that the human spirit, like the flame of a single candle, has the power to illuminate even the darkest of nights.
The miracle of the oil is indeed a later addition to the Hanukkah story, and is not mentioned in the earliest sources. The earliest accounts of Hanukkah, such as the books of Maccabees, 1 Maccabees and 2 Maccabees, which were written in the 2nd century BCE, focus on the military victory of the Maccabees over the Seleucid Greeks and the subsequent rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. These texts describe the 8-day celebration following the rededication, but do not mention any miracle of oil. Similarly, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, writing in the 1st century CE, describes the events of Hanukkah in his work Antiquities of the Jews. He refers to the holiday as the Festival of Lights, but also does not mention the miracle of the oil. The story of the oil lasting 8 days appears for the first time in the Talmud, specifically in the Tractate Shabbat 21b, which was compiled several centuries later, around 500 CE. The Talmudic account provides the narrative that a small amount of oil, enough to last only 1 day, miraculously burned for 8 days, which is why Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days. This story may have been introduced to provide a spiritual explanation for the holiday and to emphasize the divine intervention in the events celebrated during Hanukkah. The 9-branch menorah, related to the oil story, just like the Christmas tree in the Christianity community, not biblical or related to the festival. The 9-branch menorah, also known as the Hanukkah menorah or Hanukkah, is not directly mentioned in the Talmud as an object with 9 branches. The concept and tradition of lighting the Hanukkah come from the celebration of Hanukkah, which commemorates the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem after the Maccabean revolt. The Hanukkah menorah has 8 branches for candles, symbolizing the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days, plus an additional branch for the shamash, helper candle, used to light the others. The Talmud, specifically in Tractate Shabbat 21b, discusses the miracle of Hanukkah and the associated practice of lighting candles. It details how the Maccabees found only a small jug of oil in the temple, enough to light the menorah for 1 day, yet it miraculously lasted for 8 days.